The gavel slammed down like a thunderclap in the stale air of the immigration courtroom, and Javier's world cracked open. His deportation order clutched in his trembling fist, the judge's words echoing, "You have 30 days." He stumbled out onto the rain-slicked streets of Queens, the skyline of Manhattan mocking him from across the East River, a glittering promise he'd chased for 5 years only to watch it slip away. That's when Alex appeared, umbrella in hand, eyes hidden behind aviators, voice steady as steel. "Marry me. It's the only way to fix this." Javier Morales had crossed the border at 17, a scrawny kid from a dusty village outside Guadalajara, carrying nothing but a backpack stuffed with his mother's tamales and a faded photo of his little sister, Rosa, who he'd promised to bring north someday. America was supposed to be the land of second chances, but 5 years in felt like a rigged game. He'd hustled through night classes at Queensborough Community College, slinging coffee at a bodega by day, dreaming of a graphic design degree that might land him a real job. But dreams didn't stop the feds from sniffing around his expired visa, triggered by a routine traffic stop after he'd stayed too late at a friend's quinceañera. Alex Harper was the friend who'd offered the umbrella that day, tall, broad-shouldered, with that effortless wasp charm that screamed old money, even if he swore his family was just comfortably middle class from the Upper East Side. They'd met 6 months earlier at a queer art collective in Bushwick, where Javier sketched murals of migrant stories on crumbling warehouse walls, and Alex, a rising paralegal at a nonprofit fighting for immigrant rights, volunteered his legal eagle eyes to keep the group out of trouble. Alex had that quiet intensity, the kind that made Javier's pulse stutter when he'd lean over a canvas, murmuring, "This line here, it's got fire. Like you. But marriage? That was a curveball neither saw coming." Over greasy diner eggs that same rainy afternoon, Alex laid it out plain. "It's a sham on paper, Javi. I help you stay, you help me. Well, dodge my family's endless parade of debutante setups. Win-win." Javier had laughed, bitter and broken, but desperation has a way of sharpening edges. Alex's family, his senator father, ice queen mother, and a brother who chaired some Wall Street fund, were the epitome of blue blood pressure. Alex was the black sheep, out since college but still dodging the settle down with a nice girl script. A fake husband? It had shut them up. By time they filed the paperwork 2 weeks later in a dingy city hall chapel, Javier in a borrowed suit that hung loose on his frame, Alex cracking jokes to cut the tension. "Hey, at least we're not doing vows in Latin, makes it less Catholic guilt." The judge barely glanced up, stamping their certificate like it was just another Tuesday. That night, they crashed at Alex's cramped walk-up in Astoria, splitting a 6-pack of Yangling on the fire escape, the city humming below like a beast that could swallow them whole. Javier felt the first real spark then, not lust, but something softer, like the glow of string lights at a block party. Alex's laugh, low and unguarded, chasing away the shadows Javier carried from nights wondering if Rosa was safe back home. Life as husbands started awkward, like roommates who'd accidentally swapped closets. Javier moved in, his few boxes of clothes and sketchbooks crammed into Alex's already overflowing space. Mornings were a dance around the tiny kitchen, Javier frying huevos rancheros while Alex burned toast, both pretending the gold bands on their fingers weren't props. But Alex was good at this, good at making Javier feel seen. He'd drag him to rooftop barbecues in Greenpoint, introducing him as my better half, with a wink that lingered too long. Javier, who'd grown up hiding crushes on the neighbor boys behind soccer fields, found himself thawing. Alex's touch, a hand on his back during a Mets game at Citi Field, the brush of fingers over shared takeout chopsticks, ignited something he'd buried deep. By month 3, the lines blurred. They hosted their first family dinner to sell the ruse. Alex's parents descending from their Park Avenue airy like royalty inspecting the colonies. Senator Harper, all silver hair and tailored suits, grilled Javier on his background over steak tartare, eyes narrowing at the faint accent Javier couldn't shake. So, graphic design, noble pursuit. But tell me, son, how'd a boy from Jalisco end up with my Alexander? Javier swallowed dryly, Alex's foot nudging his under the table like an anchor. Fate, sir. And a hell of a lot of luck, Mrs. Harper cooed over the charade, mistaking Javier's quiet sketches for artistic flair. But her smile never reached her eyes. As they left, she pulled Alex aside, whispering loud enough for Javier to catch. Darling, he's sweet, but permanent? Think of the optics. Optics. The word haunted Javier, a reminder that he was still the outsider, the green card ghost in their gilded world. But Alex, he fought for it. Late nights after Javier's shifts, Alex would pore over case files at the kitchen table, Javier doodling beside him, portraits of protesters at Foley Square, fists raised against the machine. One evening, rain pattering the window like impatient fingers, Alex looked up from a stack of appeals. You know this isn't just about the card anymore, right? His voice was rough, like he'd rehearsed it 100 times. Javier's charcoal smudged under his thumb. What do you mean? Alex reached across, covering Javier's hand. You. This feels real. The kiss that followed was tentative, born of too many shared silences and stolen glances. Javier tasted salt. Tears? Beer? Didn't matter. Alex's arms wrapped around him like a lifeline, pulling him onto the worn couch, the city lights fracturing through the blinds like stars in a fishbowl. It wasn't fireworks. It was a slow burn, Javier's heart hammering against Alex's chest, both whispering apologies for the wait. I've wanted this since that first mural, Alex confessed, breath hot against Javier's neck. You paint worlds I want to live in, Javier, voice cracking, admitted, thought I'd never belong here. But with you, maybe I do. Summer hit New York like a fever dream, humid nights spilling into dawn jogs along the Gantry Plaza State Park Esplanade. They built a rhythm. Alex's nonprofit gig expanding to pro bono clinics in Jackson Heights, Javier landing freelance gigs designing logos for Takarius and queer bookstores. Weekends were theirs, ferry rides to Governor's Island, picnics under the Brooklyn Bridge, Alex teaching Javier to swing dance in Washington Square Park, both laughing when Javier stepped on toes. You're a natural menace, Alex teased, spinning him into a dip, their foreheads touching as the fountain splashed behind them. But cracks spiderwebbed in. Alex's brother, Ethan, showed up unannounced one sticky July afternoon, reeking of scotch and entitlement. Heard you're playing house now, he slurred, eyeing Javier like yesterday's news. Ethan was the golden child, married to a hedge fund princess, but rumors swirled. Affairs, coke-fueled weekends in the Hamptons. He cornered Alex in the hallway while Javier pretended to chop onions in the kitchen. Dad's pissed. Lex, this little experiment, it's tanking his re-election buzz. Latinos love the border wall talk. Not this. Alex's voice rose, sharp as broken glass. Get out, Ethan. We're building something real. But the seed was planted, doubt, that insidious weed. Javier felt it first in the mirror, tracing the worry lines etching his eyes. Was he holding Alex back? Late one night, scrolling through his phone, he stumbled on Ethan's Instagram. A glossy post from a family gala, Senator Harper beaming beside a suitable donor's daughter. Caption sly, family first always. Javier's stomach twisted. He didn't confront Alex. Instead, he poured it into art, a series of subway posters, anonymous drops in the 7 train cars, depicting shadowed figures chained to eagle wings, yearning for flight. Fall brought the hearing, the real test. Dressed in their wedding suits, now fitted proper, they sat in the federal building on Varick Street, the air thick with fluorescent buzz and desperate whispers. The immigration officer, a stone-faced woman named Ruiz, flipped through their file like a grocery list. Joint accounts? Lease? Photos? Alex slid over the binder bank statements in both names, a glossy print of them at Coney Island. Arms slung casual, smiles wide. But Ruiz's pen paused. Witnesses say the marriage seems convenient. Any proof of genuine intent? Javier's throat closed. Genuine. What was that? Anyway, Alex squeezed his knee under the table. Voice steady. Ma'am. Intense in the everyday. He makes my coffee strong. Calls me out on my bullshit. We fight over the remote like any couple. This is us, flawed, fierce, forever. Ruiz's eyes softened a fraction, but she adjourned for further review. Outside, Javier sagged against the wall, the weight of it all crashing down. What if it's not enough? Alex pulled him close, right there on the sidewalk amid honking taxis. It is, because it's true. Truth became their mantra, woven into quiet moments. Alex surprising Javier with tickets to a Broadway matinee of Rent, both tearing up at Seasons of Love. Javier whispering, "This city's got seasons? Feels like one long storm." Alex kissing his temple. "Not anymore. We're the calm." Javier's sketches evolved 2 portraits of Alex now, not as savior, but partner. Laughing in the shower steam, fierce at rallies, vulnerable in sleep. He sold a few at a pop-up gallery in Chelsea, the check funding a surprise trip to the Catskills, where they hiked Finger Lakes trails, hands linked, leaves crunching like confessions. But betrayal brews in the shadows. Came via email, innocuous at first, a family update from Ethan, forwarded by mistake. Attached, screenshots of Alex's old texts to a college ex. Then, flames reignited during a weak moment last winter. Pre-marriage. Miss you. This city's cold without your fire. Dated 3 months after their wedding. Javier's vision tunneled, the laptop screen blurring with hot tears. Ben, who? A quick search revealed him. Chiseled jaw, trust fund smirk. Now a tech bro in Silicon Valley. The messages weren't explicit, but the intimacy stung. Late-night calls, what-ifs that echoed Javier's own fears. He confronted Alex at dawn, the apartment still dark, coffee pot gurgling like a guilty conscience. "How long? Alex, how long have you been playing both sides?" Alex's face crumpled. No denial, just raw ache. "It was one slip, Javi. Before us, before this. Ben reached out when I was drowning in doubt. Dad's pressure. I ended it the second you moved in." Javier's voice broke. "Doubt? About me? Or this whole charade?" Alex reached, but Javier flinched. "It's not a charade anymore. God, don't you see? You're my family, the one I chose." The fight spilled into the streets. Javier storming to the East River, wind whipping his jacket like accusations. He called Rosa, her voice tinny over the line from Guadalajara. "Hermano, what's wrong? You sound like Papa after the harvest failed." Javier choked out fragments, the marriage, the love, the lie. Rosa's laugh was soft, wise beyond her 20 years. "Love's not a visa, Javi. It's the risk. If he's worth it, fight dirty." He hung up, staring at the water churning black under the Triborough Bridge. Fight dirty. But how, when trust lay shattered like cheap glass? Days blurred into a cold war. Alex left notes. Apologies on post-its stuck to the fridge. I choose you. Every damn time. Javier ignored them, burying in work, designing flyers for a queer migrant march down Fifth Avenue. The event was electric. Rainbow flags snapping in the November chill. Chants of "no human is illegal" thundering off skyscrapers. Javier manned a booth, handing out zines. When Alex appeared, sign in hand, "Families belong together," eyes pleading across the crowd. He pushed through, voice hoarse over the megaphone din. "Javi, wait, please." They ended up in a coffee shop off Union Square, steam rising like unspoken words. Alex laid it bare. The Harper legacy. Generations of men burying their truths under boardroom deals and country club handshakes. Ethan's not the villain. He's just me. If I hadn't met you. Ben was escape, not love. You're home. Javier's walls cracked. The hurt raw but thawing. I came here for a chance. Alex. Not to beg for scraps. Alex nodded, tears tracking. Then let's build it right. No more secrets. Reconciliation was tentative, like first steps after a sprain. They attended couples counseling at a free clinic in Harlem. The therapist, a no-nonsense black woman named Ms. Ellis, calling them out. Marriage ain't a bandage. It's a mirror. Face the ugly. Boys. Sessions unearthed ghosts. Javier's fear of abandonment, rooted in his father's border-crossing death. Alex's rage at a family that loved conditionally. One night, post-therapy, they burned the old texts in a metal bowl on the fire escape, ashes scattering like released sins. To us, Alex toasted with cheap Merlot. Javier clinked, heart-mending. To family, winter gripped the city in iron, but their bond warmed it. Christmas Eve, Javier strung luminarias along the windowsill, filling the air with pozole simmering on the stove. Alex's parents arrived, invited, not ambushed. Senator Harper gruff but thawing over tamales, admitting, "You've got grit, son. Reminds me of my grandfather, fresh off the boat from Dublin." Mrs. Harper even complimented Javier's mural sketches, commissioning one for their foyer. Two men silhouetted against the Empire State, hands entwined. It was progress, fragile as snowflakes. The climax hit like a nor'easter, unannounced and brutal. February's immigration ruling dropped via certified mail. Denied. Insufficient evidence of bona fide marriage. The letter read, Ruiz's signature cold as the envelope. Deportation loomed, 28 days. Javier packed in a daze. Rosa's photo tucked in his wallet like a talisman. "Go back if you must," Alex urged, voice steel through tears. "But fight it. We're appealing." Protests erupted citywide. Alex's non-profit rallying lawyers. Javier's art-fueling placards. Love knows no borders. The hearing redo was a circus. Paparazzi sniffing Harper scandal. Activists chanting outside. Inside, Ruiz faced a barrage. Affidavits from friends swearing to their authenticity. Ms. Ellis's testimony on their growth. Even Ethan's reluctant letter. "My brother's happier than I've ever seen." That's real. Javier testified last. Voice steady, eyes locked on Alex across the room. "I came for opportunity, stayed for love. He's not my green card, he's my horizon." The gavel fell again, but this time, mercy. Approved, with supervision. Cheers erupted. Alex sweeping Javier into a kiss amid flashing cameras. Raw, unscripted, the world watching their truth. Outside, under a rare sunny sky, they walked arm in arm down Varick. The city theirs again. Spring bloomed late, but fierce. Javier graduated with his associates. Alex proposing for real on the High Line, not with a ring, but a sketchbook page. Their future, penciled in house in the Hudson Valley, Rosa visiting, maybe kids someday via surrogacy. Marry me again? For keeps. Javier laughed. Yes on his lips, sealing it with a kiss as cherry blossoms rained down. Years later, Javier looked back from their porch in Beacon. Rosa dozing on the hammock after her first stateside Thanksgiving. Alex grilling ribs with that same boyish grin. The green card was a footnote. Family, the epic. In America's vast, bruised heart, they'd carved their place. Not perfect, but profoundly theirs. And in the quiet nights, when doubts whispered old betrayals, they'd hold tighter, remembering, love isn't given. It's forged, one risky step at a time.